let's get right into our main events, the final battle of this stream. The first team leader of that being the Goldenrod Gholdengos, who is led by Mars, playing for Goodwill, tied for fourth place. Again, one of the tied teams that happened crazy. Currently fourth place at 1-0. This is one of the teams that have the multiple Paradox Pokemon, and is really scary. He is actually the undefeated contender from the Pokemon Charity League, having not lost a single battle, and is looking to continue that streak. The Oyumons of this team being the Torkoal at 0-1, being able to set up the sun for the rest of the Paradox Mons, being the Roaring Moon, the Slitherwing, and the now new Sandy Shocks to this team. The Sandy Shocks was a traded Pokemon, used to be the Gyarados. The Slitherwing being the 4-0, just unexpected power. The Arumons of this team being the Porygon 2 being just a menace, with its Eviolite and its just potential to tank out and recover. We have the Grimmsnarl and the Arboliva, which I believe Arboliva was traded, but I'll get into that next week. The Enumons being Hitmonlee, Magmortar, and the 2-0 Vileplume, with the Pumons of the Shuckle, the Wobbuffet, the Raticate, and the Jellicent. This team is a really strong sunsetting team. That's not like a sunset, but set the sun. So the Torkoal able to set up the sun for the Paradox Mons, as well as the Arboliva, and the Vileplume, and the Magmortar. Just really good cohesion. Is that the right word? This team works together really well. The area global for fusion settings, I will let you know in like 15 minutes when I join. The opponents of the Goldenrod Gholdengos being none other than me, the Frosty Vulpix, led by me, Vulpix Aura, playing for Friends of Animals, currently in 7th place at 1-0, looking to extend, and I will be completely honest with you, looking to get my revenge from the finals in the Pokemon Charity League. The Goldenrod Gholdengos, formerly known as the Sterling Staraptors, beat me in the finals of the Pokemon Charity League, and I am looking for revenge. We see the Oyumons of this team being the Meowscarada and the Alolan Ninetales, two of my babies, my favorite Pokemon. Meowscarada being 1-1, and Alolan Ninetales being 3-0. The Uyumons of the Hisuian Zoroark and the Haxorus being 1-1, Zoroark having not been brought yet. The Arumons of the Florges, the Male Indeedee, and the Primeape, who I did trade, I will say. I had 2 trades, but they will be reflected next week, as I said before. The Enumons of this team being the Umbreon, the Sceptile, and the Daytime Lycanroc being at 1-1, and the Pumons of this team being the Malamar, the Garbodor, the Emolga, and the Lantern. 2 teams. I will say my personal rival. I know that's not the case, but just friendly rivalries between myself and Mars, the team leader of the Goldenrod Gholdengos. Let's see the starting lineups of these 2 teams. You see from the Goldenrod Gholdengos, the 3 Paradox Pokemon and that Sunsetter, the Slitherwing, Roaring Moon, Torkoal, Sandy Shocks, Porygon 2, and the Vileplume. 5 of these Mons directly benefiting from that Sunsetter of the Torkoal, and of course Porygon 2, as I said, just really, really good, really chunky, really just able to chunk out some moves. But we see the Frosty Vulpix with the Meowscarada, with the Alolan Ninetales, Haxorus, the Male Indeedee, and with the Umbreon and the Lantern being brought this time around. Okay, so I'll just try to say a little bit about my team. The Umbreon being a really good tank, able to tank out a lot of these hits and potentially being an annoyance as well. The Ninetales able to set up the Snow in hopes of countering that Sunsetter of the Torkoal. Meowscarada just being really strong, really fast, hoping to get some knockouts for itself. I am really bad at talking about my own team, so let's just get this main event started. The starting Pokemon of these 2 teams. The Goldenrod Gholdengos leading with the Roaring Moon and the Frosty Vulpix with the Haxorus. Haxorus swaps out right into the Indeedee. The Roaring Moon goes for a U-turn and gets just the immediate knockout onto this Indeedee. The Goldenrod Gholdengos are already in a really good position. The Slitherwing then coming in. Meowscarada then swaps in to replace it. The Acrobatics, though, takes down the Slitherwing, each team being 1-1 on the second turn already. Torkoal then swaps in to set up the Sun, and then immediately swaps into the Haxorus. The Torkoal going for a Yawn right away. The Haxorus then goes for a Dragon Dance, not scared of that Yawn apparently, with the Torkoal then setting up the Stealth Rocks, with the Haxorus going to sleep. But the Haxorus bringing the Lumberry, waking up right away, going for an Earthquake onto this Torkoal. But the Yawn then coming through again. This time the Yawn won't save it now. Or it won't save itself, but Torkoal swaps into the Porygon 2 to tank a Dragon Claw, do about half of its damage, but of course the Haxorus falls asleep. Haxorus then swaps out into the Umbreon, takes a little bit of chip damage from the Stealth Rocks, and the Ice Beam then goes through a predicted hit to kill off, or to finish off the Haxorus, but it didn't work. The Taunt then going into the Porygon 2, and it can't use Toxic after the Taunt. The Porygon is forced to swap out into the Vileplume. The Umbreon then going for the Heal Bell to wake up the Haxorus. But of course the Sun is double speed. Vileplume going for the Moonblast, not quite taking down this Umbreon though. And the Umbreon going for the Wish to try to get healing for whatever Pokemon comes next. Ninetales then swaps out into, or replaces the Umbreon, with the Sunny Day setup, completely negating the snow that the Ninetales set up, but the Wish goes through and brings the Ninetales to full HP. But Lantern then swaps in to replace it, and the Moonblast is able to tank itself out. Lantern's able to take out the Moonblast. Tank out the Moonblast, our words. Solar Beam then comes through though from this Vileplume and just takes down the rest of this Lantern, leaving the Goldenrod Gholdengos up by one Pokemon. Ninetales then swaps in to replace it, sets up the Snow of course, then swaps immediately back into this Torkoal. Ninetales then going for a Blizzard, not quite taking down this Torkoal though. But the Moonblast comes in, finishes off this Torkoal, leaving each team at 2-2. Vileplume then comes back in to replace it. The immediate swap out into this Umbreon, probably just to get the Umbreon just to fall and have the safe swap in into this Ninetales again to take away that Sun. Vileplume then swaps into the Sandy Shocks, and it tanks a Blizzard, not quite knocking it out quite yet, but does it outspeed. Ninetales does in fact outspeed and takes down the Sandy Shocks, the Frosty Vulpix, or the teams both being tied at 3-3 now. A very back and forth battle, it looks like. Porygon 2 then coming back, facing the Snow Warning, and the Auroraville being set up by this Ninetales, with the Recover bringing the Porygon back to full HP. Ninetales swaps back into the Haxorus, and the Toxic missing the Haxorus. The Haxorus is feeling safe enough to go for a Dragon Dance. Toxic though lands this time onto the Haxorus to get a little bit of chip damage now. But another Dragon Dance, getting a little bit greedy though with the Ice Beam, not quite doing too much damage through the Auroraville. The Brick Break not quite knocking down this Porygon, but getting quite close, with the Ice Beam able to finish off this Haxorus. The Meowscarada then swaps back in, and the Porygon swaps into the Vileplume. The Meowscarada predicting it, going for the Acrobatics, and taking down the Vileplume, leaving both teams at 2 Pokemon left, the Roaring Moon coming in. Roaring Moon outspeeding, going for the Iron Head. Does it get the flinch? It does not. The Plate Rough coming through from the Meowscarada, taking down the Roaring Moon, leaving just this Porygon left. the Porygon 2 tracing the Protean though, which is a little bit scary. The knockoff not doing enough damage. The Eviolite though being knocked off with the Recover, taking it back up to 50%. The Brick Break doesn't do enough, and the Recover spam is able to be pulled off now. Another Brick Break coming through, still not doing quite enough. Another Recover then coming through, taking the Porygon to 65% HP. The Acrobatics though trying to change things up, doing about the same amount of damage though, with the Recover bringing it back up to 72%. Another Brick Break coming through, still not doing enough damage. But the Ice Beam comes through, of course, tracing the Protean, turning it into an Ice type, and knocking out the Meowscarada, leaving just as Ninetales defend against this Porygon. Ninetales going for a Blizzard, forgetting though that it turned into an Ice type. It is a resisted hit, the Porygon able to recover. And the Roarville being set up just in case by this Ninetales, but the Toxic landing, putting this Ninetales on a very, very bad timer. Moonblast coming through, doing 26%, dropping the special attack of the Porygon, but it's not enough. The Porygon able to recover, get it back to almost full HP. Looks like this Ninetales is going to fall. Moonblast, again, doing 26%, but this was the last turn. Porygon recovering back to full HP. The Ninetales falling to the Toxic, leaving the Goldenrod Gholdengos as the winners, as the winner of this battle.